Part 2 Ending of the Branding, the Real Lesson. Yesterday, we were at her mom's house for Memorial Day, to go swimming. Her mom and her cousin were there and they were drinking. My wife decided to set her cousin up with this friend. They were texting back and forth. Her mom, being drunk, said that this friend had mentioned that he hoped her cousin was happy with small meat. I found this statement odd because I've never known this guy to talk like that with my wife. Well, later after we left her mom's house, I asked to hold her cell phone. She was apprehensive at first, but finally just gave it to me. I looked at the messages between her and this guy. Only one thing struck me as odd. When he sent the message about small meat, her response was, "No, you don't." So, I asked her how she knew the size of his crap. She said she didn't even remember sending that. I made her look at the messages again. She still maintained that she didn't remember sending it. She also still maintained they never slept together. I told her that I wanted to hold her phone again. She asked why. I told her that I was going to send a message to him from her phone asking, "Do you remember that time we slept together?" She asked why I wanted to send that message. I told her because if you haven't slept together, the response from him should be, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I would drop the subject forever and she could tell him that she sent the message to the wrong number accidentally. She insisted that I send him the message from my phone so he wasn't tricked. I told her that if she wasn't going to let me send the message, then she was going to do it. I asked her if she already knew what the response would be. That's why she didn't want the message sent. This is when she came clean. She told me that during the first year of our marriage, we had gotten into an argument and I kicked her out of the house. I don't remember kicking her out of the house. I thought it was a mutual decompress period from the argument. She went to stay with him, which was fine to me because he was a good friend at the time and I didn't fear anything would happen then. She said while she was there it just happened. I told her that she always had the choice, that situations might be right, but right before that went physical, she could have chosen not to. She said that it was a mistake that she regrets and never happened again after that, and that she was trying to just forget about it and hoped I would never find out because she never wanted to hurt me. I told her that lies are always revealed. It may be immediately or several years later, but lies are always found out. I asked her if she had slept with him after that, or with anyone else while we've been married. She said she hadn't, which at this point, I don't believe. I told her we have 3 choices. She can leave, I can leave, or I can choose to forgive her, but it would take time. I also told her that I better never hear this guy's name, see his number on her phone or phone records. I told her that I still love her, I'm just confused about what to do now. I told her that this happened for her 7 years ago, but for me it might as well have happened yesterday. She tried to sleep on the couch last night, but I told her she could sleep in the bed with me if she wanted to. I really don't have it in me to be a jerk right now. This morning she was all weepy. I went about doing my normal morning ritual because I'm not ready to decide yet and I think it's too soon to decide. My nerves are just shot and I don't know what to do. This is the ultimate betrayal. I figured that tactic would get the truth one way or another. The sad thing is, I feel worse for having found out, and at this point I don't trust much that she says. For all I know they slept together many more times. I would like to be able to forgive. I'm just not in the frame of mind to make that decision right now. I'm pretty sure they had slept together more than once. But, in the end, once is all it takes. She will probably never confess to any other times, and that is fine. He's in the military, so I could always threaten to tell his commanding officer about the affair, so I can get all the information. I'm trying to find out how many times they slept together. I sent the OM a message telling him he owed me at least that much information. He may not answer, but I'm monitoring her cellular activity to see if she gets any messages from him. This will tell me that they are trying to get their stories straight. I know she is lying about how many times, but your idea about a polygraph test is a good one. I found a place locally that does them. I'm going to tell her that she is going to take one and I will take one as well. This way we know what the truth is once and for all. She has accused me in the past, probably out of her own guilt, and I never have. I've come close twice, and she knows this, but I never followed through with it. My fear is that it's going to get a lot worse if I choose to forgive too. She was all weepy this morning. I don't know if it's because of remorse or because I know they at least slept together once. Did your husband lie about how many times he cheated? Did he continue to cheat after you forgave him? Or was there so much resentment that the marriage continued to get worse? Well, I decided to find out a better way. I messaged the OM and asked him how many times he and she slept together. I told him he could either tell me in the text or in front of his commanding officer. See, here in the States a military official will get into serious trouble for adultery considering it's against the governing law of the military. They can be jailed and stripped of rank because of it. At this point he responded and told me that they slept together twice during the time she stayed at his house 7 years ago and they both felt like crap for doing it and decided to stop and never speak of it again. I would tend to believe him because he is being faced with punishment through the military. I told him that I'm not a vindictive person and there was no need for get his co-involved. I then sent a message to my wife and told her that I now know there were 2 times they slept together. She responded by saying she would pack her things this evening. I told her there was no need to, I just want honesty. It's amazing what a little cunning will get you. Knowing that they slept together twice doesn't really change anything. It just proves that she only told a half-truth. If I decide to forgive her, she will know and agree to be completely transparent about anything I ask without being upset in any way. She will also be aware that if I find a secret cell phone, email account, etc., she will leave immediately and we will get divorced. If I find any evidence that she is having an affair, we will get divorced. I'm not going to let her just walk all over me, and I'm not going out to sleep with someone just to get revenge. I wouldn't ever wish her the pain that I've been caused. The sad thing is her family is what I would describe as trailer trash. She seemed different from all of them when we were dating. She had goals in life and has gone to college to better herself. Hell, she's a nurse and makes decent money. I guess I was just very deceived. I have no idea what I was thinking when I sent her to stay at his house. At the time, he was in a committed relationship as well. He wasn't married though. I guess it was youthful stupidity at the time. I have known it was a mistake for years. I just found out the truth of why it was a mistake. And I do plan on going through with the polygraph test. I also plan to have one done on myself for her. I want the entire truth of our life together to be laid out in black and white. She has accused me of cheating, probably out of her own guilt. I want her to know once and for all that I never touched another woman besides her. The entire time we have been together, I was put in a situation twice where I could have but backed out at the last second. I have told her about both of these instances, because even getting to that point made me feel guilty. I also want to know once and for all how many men she has actually had an affair with. After I confronted her, through text message, about having actually slept with him twice, she said she would pack her things and leave tonight after she got off of work. I'm still not sure that I want her to leave. I really don't know what I want. I need the results of a polygraph to figure it out once and for all. I must have made it sound like her mother was aware of the affair. This isn't the case, or as far as I know isn't. My wife was trying to set her cousin up with this guy yesterday. I don't believe she is still having an affair with him anymore at this point. As far as another man, who knows, I don't. The messages between my wife and the OM supported that she was trying to set her cousin up with him. Her mom was a little drunk and found it funny that he was joking about how small his ex was in the text messages. My wife must have read that message aloud. My wife was the one that responded to him and told him he didn't have a small ex. I'm pretty sure her mother wasn't aware of the response. I have to agree about let her sleep on the couch. I guess I was a little too soft on that. I am going to make her aware that she needs to sleep there until I have decided to forgive her, and she has committed herself to me again. I also agree that I will pack my things when I get off of work as a ploy to see if I'll cave. I told her already that I wasn't sure whether I wanted her to stay or leave, but if she decides to, then that's her choice, and I will go see an attorney tomorrow to file for divorce. I do try to focus on being an attentive husband. Sometimes I can be a jerk, but I'm sure every man has that capability. Just like every woman has the capability to be a bee. I don't rightly know of anything I ever did to deserve this though. I will stop pandering to her so much. I also need to go and hang out with friends more often. That's something that suffered a lot while we have been married. We are pretty much stuck up each other's hind end when we are off of work. I think I agree with you on the polygraph. There's nothing I need to prove. I didn't do anything wrong to begin with. And there really is no need for it with her because I've already discovered she is a liar. Paying for a polygraph to back that up is just a waste of money, maybe needed for an attorney. The only reason I would want to know about other men is so that I can be tested for STD, which I'm going to have done regardless. I'm just not sure I want to forgive her at this point. I'm not too sure I want to even continue being married to her. I will forgive her one day, for myself, regardless of whether we stay married or not. Update: we spoke last night after she got home from work. I asked her why she lied and told me they only slept together once. She asked me if it made it easier to find out it happened twice. I told her that at this point the truth is her friend and that if she wishes for me to decide to forgive her, she needs to be completely transparent to me. I told her that I scheduled a polygraph for Friday after work and that she will submit to it. I told her that if she is caught in any lies, she's gone. She said she had no problem with taking the polygraph. I guess this may be a good sign that she is telling the truth. I know she could be lying and cave the night before and spill the truth. Either way, by Friday afternoon I will have all the answers I need to determine whether I can even start to entertain the thought of forgiveness. She asked me what I wanted to do. I told her that in the emotional state I am in right now, anger, she really doesn't want my decision. She asked what the decision would be and I told her that if she wanted a decision then it would be for her to pack her things and leave for good. After I confronted her about her lie yesterday, she said she was going to pack her things and leave when she got off of work. This was a ploy, just as someone earlier had stated. She continued to tell me that she was in a lot of pain over what she had done and she never wanted to hurt me. I told her that she had no right to try to compare her pain and suffering to mine. She committed the ultimate betrayal and all the times I might have been a jerk, put together, would not come close to the first time they slept together, let alone the second time as well. I also told her she was a hypocrite for accusing me of ever having had an affair on her. She had done this twice, after the affair. I guess it's true that people that have affairs tend to accuse the other spouse of having one as well. I came close twice but pulled myself out of it. She already knew about both times because I don't carry guilt around very well. I told her shame on her for coming down on me when I accused her of cheating on me with this man several times during our marriage and making me feel like a jerk for not trusting her. I told her that keeping him around after the affair, even as nothing was still going on, was a slap in the face to me. I told her I wasn't too sure that they didn't have the affair the entire time we were married. I said that we would find out Friday from the polygraph. She still maintained that those were the only times and said she couldn't wait to prove it to me Friday. We have already sent an NC to the other man. I made sure that she knew what she was signing and what it meant if any of the terms of the NC were broken by her in any way. She said that she understood. I told her that if he tried to contact her in any way, she was to tell me immediately. I also told her that if I find out they had contact in any way, and I wasn't made fully aware of it, she was gone for good. She said this morning that she no longer wanted to use the cell phone that was in my name because she didn't want me to continue monitoring her phone. I told her she had two options: either continue to use that cell phone or have no cell phone at all. I told her that if I found out about another cell phone of any kind, secret or even if she told me about it, she would be gone. I told her I have every right to look at the call and text message logs now, and that if I looked at her phone and noticed that a message or call was deleted that was on the log, she was gone. I'm pretty sure it was a long-term average, even if by some chance there weren't any more physical indiscretions. There was definitely an emotional affair going on through the years, or there wouldn't have been that slight hint of jealousy in her voice when he introduced us to a new girlfriend. The emotional affair is just as bad, if not worse, than the physical affair, although it was probably a full-on affair for our entire marriage. If I find out this is the case from the polygraph, my decision is made and final, and I will go directly to a divorce attorney on Monday. I'm really not at a mental state to determine if I want to truly salvage this marriage or cut my losses and move on. I know that there will be someone else if I decide to move on. My biggest problem is that I have invested so much of myself into her. Tab has helped me out a lot these past few days. I'm generally a very emotional person during arguments, which keeps me from thinking straight. I've done a lot better with not getting too emotional since I can vent here. I will continue to persist with the polygraph, and hopefully I will find that she is being truthful. I made a mistake yesterday when I got home from work. I told her that I didn't want to argue this evening. I knew damn full and well that I couldn't keep to that statement after I said it. She tried to have a decent meal for me when I got home. I told her thank you, and while she was grilling dinner and burning it, but whatever, I laid what I thought the real story to be. I told her that 6 years ago, it was actually 6 after I thought long and hard about it, we got into a major argument. I told her that I thought she needed to leave to figure out what she wanted out of this marriage. I don't remember what exactly the argument was over. She said she would, but she had nowhere to go. I suggested our friend, like Other Man, since I trusted her and he seemed to be a great guy and true friend to me. Other Man came into our lives when my wife started working at an income tax office. They became friends at work, and we all became pretty good friends outside of work. He introduced us both to his girlfriend, whom he seemed very committed to and quite in love with. At the time of our argument, he had already broken up with this girl a couple weeks prior, and was telling us about a new girl he was pursuing that worked at Sonic's drive-in. So, I still thought nothing of her crashing on his couch for a few days to figure out what she wanted. Anyways, she was there for 3 days. According to her, she was upset and reading a book, trying to get her mind off of me kicking her out. He came in and comforted her while she was crying, and one thing led to another, and they slept together. Then they slept together the second night as well. On the third night, the girl from Sonic came over and he stayed outside talking to her all night. When he came in and went to bed, she thought about what she was doing and decided to grab her things and come home and try to hide what she did for the sake of our marriage, because she didn't want to lose me. This was according to her. I told her I believed she was jealous and angry because he spent all night out talking to the Sonic girl and knew he only used her for a piece of meat and nothing more. She decided she didn't want to be tossed away with the trash, so she decided to just settle for me, because it's better than having no one at all. Then, I told her, you kept him around as a friend because you had an emotional attachment, and you hoped that the affair would continue, and it probably did. And you hoped he would tell you to leave me and be with him. I told her she was just waiting on that day to come, and it never did, because she was just a piece of meat for him to have fun between girlfriends, or even while he was with girlfriends, and that she knew it. She pleaded with me that this wasn't the case and that they only slept together twice and never again after. She admitted that she may have had a slight emotional attachment, but that he was nothing more than a friend after she came home on the third night. I told her that I found it hard to believe. I told her that the text message between them on Monday over the size of his ex showed that it wasn't something she tried to forget or else she would have never brought that up in the messages. She said she was just being playful in the text messages. I told her bull crap and that she would never convince me of it. I told her no matter how many times she tells me, she wasn't remorseful of the affair even after this many years, and that she probably isn't remorseful now. That she just feels guilty for having been caught. She got upset and told me she had hoped we could have a night off from arguing and share a decent meal together. She said she was stupid for ever believing that would be the case. I told her that I apologized for misleading her about it earlier. I told her that unfortunately she has to listen to all the hurt and anger come pouring out. If she wants to stay there in this marriage, until I've worked through it and figure out what I want to do once and for all. I told her that after the polygraph, she may never have to worry about me again. So, when do these emotions of hurt, anger start to subside? My nerves are shot and I can't get any kind of rest at all. I know they'll subside in time. I just want them to give me a break for a few hours. God, I'm just so exhausted. I've told my wife if there is any hope for reconciliation that she will be doing all the heavy lifting. I made her understand that this didn't mean she would be doing all the work by herself, just the majority of it. I've decided to give her a list of things she has to be willing to live with and be understandable on. If there is any hope for R, she is aware that she must be completely transparent. I have all of her passwords. She is going to continue to use the phone on the account that I have access to. She is aware that her text messages on her phone must match the online records. If I ever ask her to see her text messages and they don't, she's aware that it is over at that point. If the other man contacts her in any way, she is aware she has to tell me about it and that her only response to him will be "Don't ever call me again. It's over and I love my husband." If she receives a phone call, the call better not last more than 1 minute in the online records, and she is to let me see the call in her phone call log to determine it lasted no more than a few seconds. Just enough time to tell him what I told her to. Unfortunately, the online log only logs call in minutes. She is also to only answer a call or message from him once, and that's just to tell him this. If he continues to try to contact her, she must be willing to file a restraining order against him. I've told her at this point I am in self-preservation mode and have to guarantee my safety as much as I can. It's not that I accept this behavior, plainly I don't. If I did, then I wouldn't have had a problem with her cheating on me to begin with or hiding it in plain sight for 6 years. You may be right, she may have had multiple guys that I don't know about. I'll find that out today at the polygraph. This will be the real test of whether reconciliation is a possibility. I've already made her aware that our marriage had been a complete and total sham from that day forward. Unfortunately, I still love her, and I've read stories on these forums where things could go either way. Our marriage could become the strongest it's ever been, or it could become worse than it ever was. This is the risk I have to weigh before deciding to divorce her. My emotions seem to be calming down and I am starting to think rationally. I don't accept any blame for her cheating on me. I just accept that I wasn't a great husband before the cheating. I was young and still learning and naive enough to kick my wife out of my house and allow her to stay at another man's house. That is my only part in this. I may have been responsible for a tiny pinprick in our marriage, but she's responsible for the big gaping hole, which she slowly tore further and further open over the years. I almost fell into cheating on her twice, pulled away from those women, and made her completely aware of them both. I didn't want to have to live with that kind of guilt and shame, and I sure as hell cared more about her feelings than she did about mine. I also asked her how you fix a gaping hole. No band-aid will cover it. You can't stitch it back together because there is not enough skin. Any gauze you try to pack in will eventually need to be changed, which exposes the wound again. The only thing that can be done is to take great care of the wound and hope that it will close eventually. But it's going to take time and effort from her treating the wound whenever it starts to bleed, and there will always be a scar there once it finally heals. She hasn't confessed to anything else, even though the polygraph is this afternoon. She may in the parking lot beforehand, but if she does, it will be a ploy to not go through with the poly. She is aware that if I find out there is more to the story or there were any other affairs, that it's over. I will not have my heart and emotions stomped on more from her. Update: the polygraph is over with and I've gotten the results. She didn't break down and admit anything in the parking lot or the lobby of the testing facility. She said she wasn't lying to me about anything and that she would go ahead and take the polygraph to set my mind at ease and prove it. I told her that this was part of what it's going to take to help work towards any reconciliation. The interviewer explained to us that he would ask the questions that I provided to him, but that he would also ask additional questions that would help ascertain other aspects of what led to the affair and what has happened since the affair. He said that I couldn't be in the room because it would influence her answers and could possibly throw the results off because she may be overly anxious because of my presence. He said he would start with a brief interview before the polygraph as a way to get to know her as a subject better. He says he does this as a way to loosen them up a little beforehand, if at all possible, and also to see how his personal judgment compares to the results of the polygraph. Basically, a pre-polygraph interview with some of the questions she would be asked during the polygraph. The entire process took about 2 hours and he called me back in. He explained to me that polygraphs are generally 95% or more accurate. We then started with the questions. It seemed like there were more than about 40 of them total. I only provided him with 18. On a couple of them, he said that her answer couldn't be verified as true or false the first time they were asked. They were, do you have a complete lack of interest in bonding with your spouse? The other was, do you think you had a truly happy marriage before the affair was found out? She said no. He told me that he asked these questions a second time and was able to verify the responses to be truthful. As far as the major questions, here are her answers, and her responses were all verified as truthful. 1. Did you continue an affair with the other man after you told your husband it was over? No. 2. Did you have an affair with anyone else after the other man? No. 3. Are you remorseful over the affair you had on your husband? Yes. 4. Did you keep the other man around as a friend to try to hide the affair from your husband? Yes. 5. Did you have any feelings for the other man after the affair was over? Yes. 6. Do you still have feelings for the other man now? No. 7. Do you want to save your marriage? Yes. 8. Do you want to save your marriage for financial security? No. 9. Do you want to save your marriage because you love your husband? Yes. 10. Did you keep the affair from him because you were worried about your husband's feelings? Yes. 11. Do you feel the state of your marriage before the affair is the reason for the affair? Yes. 12. Did you have intentions of sleeping with other men when your husband kicked you out? No. 13. Are you likely to have an affair again if your marriage runs into problems? No. 14. Are you likely to have an affair on your husband in the future, regardless of marital problems? No. 15. Do you have plans of ever contacting other men in the future? No. 16. Have you been completely honest about the nature of the affair with other men? Yes. I guess all I can say is thank God for small victories. I guess she was being honest after she was caught, and I spoke to other men to get the rest of the details. It really doesn't feel like a victory though. I still lose in the end. She had an affair and hid it from me for 6 years. Now all I have to do is figure out if reconciliation is truly an option and if I can live with that choice. I know that she's forced me to live a lie for the past 6 years. Right now, I'm very confused about what I really want. She does have 2 kids from a previous relationship that I have known for most of their lives. A little girl that is 11 and a little boy that just became a teenager. I know they're not my biological children, but that doesn't mean I love them any less. We have been together a total of 10 years and some months. I really do love this woman. It's really not as cut and dry as many people believe, or even I believed. I was able to give other friends advice when their spouses, girlfriends cheated on them. But when it comes down to me, I can't even take my own advice. By even giving her the gift of reconciliation, it's like I'm just giving my seal of approval for the whole affair. I think that's what I'm having a hard time getting past at this point. My family found out the other day because I just kind of broke down while talking to my mom on the phone. She keeps trying to push me to just divorce her and move on. She believes that I gave up on too many dreams to be with this woman. I don't feel that way. I told my mom that I should have never told her about my wife's affair. She's just being my mom and trying to protect me, and I can't fault her for that. I just wish I had never opened my mouth. My wife is unable to have kids after the 2 she has now, which is a great relief in light of the current situation. We had talked in the past 2 years of fertilization, but I procrastinated on moving forward. I wanted kids when I was younger, but knew I was giving that up to be with her. Her 2 kids are wonderful, and that was always enough for me. I haven't wanted kids of my own since before we were married. I feel she is being honest with me. I can tell she gets a little frustrated with me when I unload with questions about things over the years. But I remind her that part of my healing process is her being there to listen to me and answer any other questions I might have. I asked her why she is even getting frustrated to begin with. She said she isn't frustrated at me asking her question. She's frustrated because she is trying to do things to help me through this, and it doesn't seem to be doing any good. I told her that she couldn't have possibly hoped for me to be all right after a few days. She really didn't respond. She's not dealing very well with the guilt right now. What should I do? Should I show that I care about her guilty feelings? Should I just ignore them and focus on just me? I know I don't owe her anything as far as comforting her quilt, or do I? I just don't know how to respond to this. Right now, I feel that I can't. Right now, I feel like she deserves everlast guilty, shameful feelings she gets. And I wrong for feeling this way, or is it normal? Update. This entire weekend I made a great effort to not act as if anything was wrong for the kids' sake, since they were visiting from their father's house. This meant that every time feelings of rage came up, I would leave the house for a little bit to cool down. I made sure at least one of the kids were around us at all times because they were a safety net. I wouldn't bring anything up with them being around. If I had a question that I desperately needed answered, which I had a couple, my wife and I would step into the garage, and I made sure my voice was never raised and hers as well. We dropped the kids off with their dad on Sunday at 5. I asked my wife what she wanted to do about dinner, since we still have to eat, even though I still have no appetite. She offered a place up and I said that was fine. but that I wanted to stop by the bookstore first. I wanted to take a look at After the Affair to see if it's something I might like to pick up since it seems to be highly recommended. After we left the bookstore, we went to the restaurant and had dinner. During dinner, I attempted to make idle chit-chat to relieve some of the awkwardness and tension. I told my wife that my brother had texted me earlier about going to the gym with him, but that I hadn't received the message until it was too late. I told her I probably wouldn't have gone anyways. She looks at me and says, "I don't want to start an argument, but that's one thing that helps to cause resentment in me for you." She was speaking in the same nice tones I have come to know since D-Day. I asked her what was it that caused resentment. She said, "I've asked you to go to the gym with me before and you refused to. Then your brother asks and you're willing to go. Basically, you're willing to do things with other people that you won't do with me." I responded by telling her that, if she had listened to me, I said I probably wouldn't have gone anyways. At this point, my rage started to flare up and I went straight to the affair. She started to get upset with me and I told her she had no right to. She then started to cry and said, "So I'm not allowed to be upset?" I said, "Yes, you can be upset over all of this, but not with me." She then said, "I'm allowed to have feelings and I'm not going to live like a prisoner." I told her that she wasn't a prisoner and had a choice. She could either choose not to get upset with me or leave. At this point, she got up and ran out of the restaurant crying. I followed her out the door and asked her what she wanted me to do. She said, "Please take me home so I can grab my things, because I don't want to be a prisoner." I told her that if that's what she wanted, then I'd take her home and help her pack her things. I also told her that she's cooked this whole prisoner thing up in her own head. On the way home, I told her that now I see our marriage was a huge mistake, even before we got married. I told her that she tried to leave me twice before our marriage and 3 times after. I told her that I was the fool for reeling her back in. She said she didn't think our marriage was a mistake and asked if I truly believed that. I said, "Based on your affair and the evidence that you've tried to get out several times, yes, I think it was a mistake to you." This caused her to cry even more and I started to feel bad. But I held those feelings, and because she didn't deserve those feelings from me at all right now. When we got home, she headed straight for the couch and curled up in the corner crying. I then went into everything that I've been feeling and dealing with since D-Day. She asked me several times if I just wanted a divorce. I told her that I didn't have an answer for that. I told her that if I decided to forgive her for what she had done, it wouldn't be for her. It would be for me. And, if I decided to give her the gift of reconciliation, that she better know it's the greatest gift she's ever received or ever will receive, and it will only be given once. The discussion wasn't really heated at all. There were a lot of tears and shedding of pain and anguish from the both of us. We laid a lot of feelings out that we hadn't expressed to each other the entirety of our marriage. It felt great getting a bunch of stuff off of my chest. I started to feel slightly connected to her despite the affair. During the conversation, I made her commit to never having any male friends for the duration of our marriage, to never tell another male the intimate secrets of our marriage. I told her she gets the same commitment from me and has always had that commitment. I also told her that she needs to tell me about any issues she has with our marriage or me, regardless of whether she's afraid that I will get angry. I told her that she can't just hold on to problems, because it builds resentment, and who cares if I get angry? If I have time to think about the problem she brought to me, I'll realize that I'm in the wrong, or what we can do to solve the problem. I felt like this night started on a low point and ended on a very high point. I guess that's why people compare this to a roller coaster. Well, we decided to go to bed and we laid there in the bed staring at each other. Then, before I knew it, we were sleeping together. It was quite possibly the best, most intense time I've ever had with my wife. Afterwards, I lay in the bed unable to go to sleep until about 2:30 a.m. in the morning. I kept thinking that I had just made a mistake. I felt like she may have thought that I had forgiven her for what she had done. It ate at me all night. I came to the decision that I was going to let her know that this didn't resolve the affair or make me decide to forgive her. I woke up about 5 Monday morning and got her up at 5:30 and asked her to get ready so we could go out for breakfast together before work and discuss a few things. I was in a better mood because of the bonding the night before. I didn't want that to cloud the issue of the affair. This is the primary reason I felt it was a mistake. We never go out for breakfast before work, so this was a change as well. When we got to the restaurant, we ordered our food, and as we were eating, I told her that we needed to discuss what happened the night before and what it meant. I told her that, while it was great and the best bonding we've ever had, that it really didn't mean I had forgiven her for the affair. I told her that we still needed marriage counseling and that I still haven't decided what I wanted to do yet. I told her that the bonding was a good baby step and that the discussion we had before the bonding was a good step too. She said that she understood that the bonding didn't change anything. She knows it's going to take a lot of hard work, and she's willing to make the extra effort to do her part in helping me cope with her affair and show me that she's truly guilty and remorseful for the decisions she made in the past. She has started doing this, but I can't say how long it will last. Only time will tell. Then, last Sunday, I couldn't really explain it, but we had an argument that ended in us sharing repressed feelings and emotions that we hadn't expressed to each other before. I felt the sincerity in her voice and she felt it in mine. We went to bed and laid there staring into each other's eyes. I know, corny, right? And before I knew it, I was tearing her clothes off in almost a primal manner. I was so turned on, I felt like I couldn't control it. We then had the best bonding we've ever had in our entire relationship. Afterwards, I laid awake for most of the night thinking I had made a huge mistake. I made sure she knew that the bonding didn't absolve her of her affair and that I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. She said that she understood. Well, since then, we have had bonding every night except for Tuesday. The only reason we didn't Tuesday was because her muscles were aching from the good times and over-exercising. But we resumed Wednesday night and probably will continue for God know how long. I think I understand why this has happened to me. Subconsciously, I am trying to break any emotional or physical bond she had or still has for trust me, it started working. She's flirting with me again through texts and I flirt back even though my heart's not really in it right now. I see she is trying to make an effort and I don't want her to feel like I don't notice it. How long will this new change last? I don't know, only time will tell. If I feel the marriage can't be like this most days in the future, I'm walking away. I know every day is not going to be perfect, and I know every day will be a struggle, but if she puts in the effort and I reciprocate in kind, I think we can build a beautiful marriage, born from much hurt. That's really the only hope I have, and I need to figure out if it's possible and I can move past the affair. Final update. Well, last Wednesday I had my first session of IC with the marriage counselor. I explained everything that had happened with the affair and explained our entire lives together. It took about 2 hours. I told him that I couldn't explain why I was so satisfied, and he told me that it was called hysterical bonding and explained why it was probably happening. He told me that it was probably a subconscious act of trying to reclaim what belongs to me, like my wife. I told him that the entire purpose of me being there was to figure out if my wife and I could reconcile our marriage. He said he would help me figure that out for myself. We really didn't go too much into what we discussed in our individual sessions, as they are private for right now. I know we will need to discuss them at some point when we meet as a couple. My wife found out there was a workbook for love and respect, went to the store, and bought a copy for herself. When I found out, I told her that I would also like a copy of the workbook, so we bought one for me as well. So, I see a certain level of commitment from her on our marriage and helping me deal with the affair. Well, Friday I had a bad day, full of triggers and angry, hurtful thoughts. It really was a bad day and probably the worst so far for me. I just had a deep feeling of loss and hopelessness. I tried to force myself off of thoughts of the affair, but they just kept coming. Let me preface this with, my wife got a new phone upgrade on our account and hasn't really figured it out yet. I sent her a text message in the afternoon, being a little flirtatious because she told me earlier in the day that she had bought me a surprise for when I got home. Well, for the past week we have had bonded every evening, except one, and it's been the best time we've ever had together. So I sent a text message about the surprise. I figured doing this might help get my mind off of the affair. I didn't receive a response, so I sent a disappointed text, and when that was unanswered, I sent a third text. At this point I'm started to get pissed that she's not answering me in any way. I got home and was still in a major funk over the day and her not answering my texts. About 10 seconds before I walk in the door, I receive a reply from her apologizing for not replying to me. I went into the house in a very bad mood. She had bought me a surprise and I wasn't in the right state of mind, so I didn't receive it very graciously. She could tell that I was in a bad mood very quickly and asked if she had done anything wrong. The first couple of times she asked, I told her no. Then when she asked yet again, I finally told her. I wasn't upset because of the text. I was upset because of being trapped in my own head with thoughts of the affair. I broke down and started sobbing. I asked her why she had done this to me. I asked her what I had done so terribly wrong, that I deserved this. She said I didn't do anything and that none of this was my fault. She started crying as well at this point. I told her that she treated my heart as a play toy, that she was just bored of and tossed to the side. I told her that my heart is broken into a million pieces and that she was responsible for it. She said she knew how it felt to have your heart broken so completely, when she had to give custody of her kids to their father. I asked her, then why would you do that to me? I had given you myself completely. I had given you all of my heart and everything that I am. I asked her why she never saw that, and if she did, why she chose to ignore it. She said she didn't know why. All she knew was that, because of how her mother treated her as a child, she figured nobody could love her if her own mother didn't. She felt like life was just too good to be true and that I was going to get rid of her as soon as I could. She said this was the reason she had the affair and had at other times sought emotional comfort from men other than me. She said she was just on a self-destructive cycle and had broken free of it about 3 years ago and had accepted that I wasn't just going to throw her away like her mother did when she was growing up. She said she never wanted me to find out about the affair after she had chosen to keep it a secret and that she didn't have another affair afterwards. She had come close but had pulled herself back because she didn't want to do that to me again. She said she kept the other man in our lives as a friend so that I wouldn't suspect anything had ever happened. She said that it was the second most ignorant mistake she had ever made, after the affair. She said she felt like she couldn't come to me about her feelings or concerns, and that's why she spoke to other male friends. I told her that those were affairs as well, just emotional affairs and not physical affairs. I told her that those were bad too because she was connecting with these other men on an emotional level. She said that she hadn't thought of those being affairs as well, but that didn't matter. It was about how I perceived it. She begged and pleaded that I believe her that she would never have an affair on me again. We continued to talk for what seemed like hours. I told her that I knew marriages have peaks and valleys and that our marriage had basically been on massive valley since her affair. Even though I didn't have proof of the affair, I told her that in order for this marriage to survive this, I have to know there are going to be more peaks than valleys and believe she's committed to me and our marriage. I told her that I'm not stupid enough to think there aren't going to be arguments, but that there's no reason we can't turn our marriage around and make it more than it ever was. All it takes is commitment and effort from the both of us. Our marriage will be what we make it to be. If either of us feels that the other is not putting any effort in, then it's up to us to say something about it to each other. I then decided to address her self-esteem issues. I told her that there is no reason to be ashamed of her body during bonding and sleep with the lights out. I told her that I didn't know who sold her on her not having a good-looking body, that it just wasn't true. I told her that what she sees as her physical imperfections were not imperfections to me. They made her unique and beautiful in a way unlike any other woman. I told her that when we made love, her body was the most perfect thing in the world to me, and that's all that should matter. I also told her that she has a very loving and sweet personality and she was generally a good person. She said, "But I had the affair." I told her that we all make mistakes and it's not about making the mistake as much as learning from the mistake and never letting it happen again. I told her she should have more respect for herself, that she's a strong, beautiful, intelligent, and loving person. The conversation started out from my hurt and anger, then turned to a very constructive conversation about what needs to be done to reconcile our marriage. She showed me that her heart is broken for what she had done to me. I really do feel she's remorseful for what she had done. She seems to believe what she's saying about never having an affair again and wanting to be with me if I'll continue to have her. I've known my wife for over 11 years and can tell when she's being completely honest and whether she's hiding something. This is why I always accused her of an affair with the other man, even though I didn't have concrete proof. So, I see the honesty in her eyes and she's very sorrowful for what she had done to me. After our conversation, we made love and it was another great love-making session. We've never had such passion in our relationship. It's sad to say, but maybe the affair will turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to us. I know that sounds ignorant, and I feel ignorant for saying it. Saturday, we decided to go and have breakfast together at Golden Corral. Her mother called before we left the house and asked to join us for breakfast and to take my wife shopping afterwards. So, we met her there. Now, her mother's husband is in prison because he was convicted of molesting my wife's youngest sister. Here's a little backstory on this. The sister came home from school one day and asked her mom what her mom would do if she ever got suspended from school. Her mom told her the worst punishment she had ever had. Well, the next day she told her mom that her mom's husband had molested her. Then, we all come to find out that the sister had been suspended from school for being caught smoking. Also, a topic on discussion in one of her classes was about another local man that had been arrested for child molestation. So, the sister deflected the blame onto her mom's husband. Thus he went to jail. He was released on bond. The sister had to go live with her biological father, and her mom's husband went back home to her mom. Everyone knew that the sister was lying just to get out of trouble for being suspended. She even told one of her cousins this. Her mom's husband is a very good man, with 3 children of his own from a previous marriage. He isn't the type of person to have done what he was accused of. Well, the police had collected samples from the laundry basket in their house and found traces of semen on the sister's clothing, which probably got there from a towel that her mom and mom's husband had used. That traces of semen were also found on in the laundry. So, they used this against him and almost a year later he was convicted because of a poor lawyer he had and has to serve 12 years. So, after that long backstory, here's what happened at breakfast Saturday morning. We all start talking about my wife's youngest sister, who is pregnant and also cheating on her fiancé who is out of the country for 3 months. Her mom is condemning the sister over the affair. Then, her mom starts talking about a guy she reconnected with and is having an affair with after 20 years apart, while her husband sits in prison. She's all smiles and everything. This was obviously a trigger for me. Now my wife's mom is not aware of my wife's affair, as far as I know, or at least not aware that I have knowledge of it, or she wouldn't be talking about her affair. I looked at her mom and asked what she was going to do when her husband got out of prison. She said that life was just going to go back to normal. I said, "So you're going to have an affair for another 7 years, and then you expect your life is just going to go back to normal?" She said yes. I just kind of snorted a sarcastic laugh. When my mother-in-law got up to go get more food, I looked at my wife and told her that I had had just about enough of her mother and her hypocritical ways for the day, and that I was just going to leave before I said anything really damaging. My wife said she understood and she apologized for her mother. Later that evening, we went to go see Spider-Man and sat snuggled together, holding hands in the theater. Afterwards, we went for ice cream and shared a sundae. On Sunday, we went to church, came home and spent the entire day at home just enjoying each other's company. Not much else to say other than that. She did say at one point in the weekend that she knows we are meant to be together because she had tried to leave me before our marriage and a few times after our marriage, and she could never seem to follow through with it. She says that she feels God put us together and that she gave up fighting against it 3 years ago. She stated, "You complete me," and gave a slight chuckle. I told her that I already knew that we were meant to be together. I was just waiting on her to realize it too. But if she did ever have another affair, I wouldn't even consider forgiveness. The marriage would be over. I have a small hope that we can get through this. But again, only time will tell. My comment: I believe that OP fell for her physical tricks. In the end, she used him as a piece of meat, not the other way around.